Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Author Whisperer. Kylie, my name is, and welcome to this, we are talking about book titles. So if you are an author or a wannabe author, or you've thought about writing a book, then I would say that you have probably thought about what is the perfect title, and that is what we're going to be talking about today. So I think I have got it right this time, and I just did an aborted live stream because I didn't know how to make my phone go on landscape, which was pretty silly. Yes, it's working. Okay, there we go. Much better. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I have learnt about picking a title that sells, and some of the things that I've seen other people struggle with, and some of the things that I have learnt along the way, and also I guess the pitfalls. That's probably the best thing to way to describe it. So let me just there we go. Okay. So if you have any questions, this is the time to ask me. I am going to be following along in here, and I will be hopefully able to keep up with any of your questions. Hi there, Tarek. Welcome. Sorry, Tarek. Nice to see you there. So, yep. Okay, that is working. Cool. I just wanted to check the sound was going on well. All right. So, yeah, tell me about book titles for you. Is there anything that has resonated for you, or is there anything that has been difficult for you, or is there anything that has just flowed well? Think about that question, and then let's look at, first of all, what usually ends up happening. So one of the things that I find a lot of people, myself included, is that when you start writing your book, you have this fantastic idea for a title, and you what you end up doing is getting very attached to that idea, and it's kind of it becomes a fixation, I suppose. You know, you really enjoy the sound of it, you've written it up, and it's the thing that you want to call your book. You can see it there on the cover. But the thing is that I'm all about writing a book that sells. I think it's really important to have a book that you write from your heart, but I think that you also need to be able to sell that book. Otherwise, that fantastic heartfelt book that means so much to you and is full of so much valuable information. Hello, Ron. It's nice to see you here. The point is, if your title has so much to do with whether or not your book sells. So I really I've got a few key tricks around this, around how you can come up with a title that is going to help your book sell. And I'm going to show you some of the ways that I have used it for my own books, and also the mistakes that I have made, which are certainly, many along the way. But, that's the way we learn, right? From making mistakes. So I feel that when you get this nailed, it takes so much of the stress away from that final process in self-publishing, which is picking your title. Now, first thing I want to talk about is actually just give you a little bit of a rundown of the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing. For those of you who don't know me well, you mightn't know that there's definitely a huge difference, and the traditional publishing industry I'm not about that. I'm all about the self-publishing industry. I'm about empowering people who want to write and publish their own books. So that's what I do, and that's what I work with my clients on, and that's what I encourage you to do. The difference being, when you traditionally publish, of course, first of all, you have to be accepted by them, but more to the point, a lot of this sort of stuff, like picking a title, is completely out of your hands. And part of the fun of publishing your own book is being in control of all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really do love that whole aspect of being able to, I suppose, be in control of all of it. But the downside is that, yes, you're in control of it, but then that also means that you know, it's all down to you as well. So it really is up to you whether or not you know, what you call it. And you can totally bum out with it, and you can totally give it the wrong title. And I'll give you some examples from personal experience. Hi, Marriott, how you going? Hi, Kevin. Yeah, I'll give you some examples so you you know, you can see what the mistakes are. Now, I had this fantastic idea that I was going to do this live stream using where you can do it on your desktop, but then I chickened out at the last minute because it's actually, I don't know, it's just one extra tech step. So this is actually I want to show you this. So obviously if this was on the desktop, you'd be able to see it really well. But this is the document I am going to be working from. Can we see that? Yes. So I love to mind map. It's how I train. It's how I outline my books. It's basically how I do pretty much everything in my business. It's how I outline my trainings. It's how I you know, work from, you know, so this is basically what I'm going to be working from today. And for me, that just is a really good way to sort of get it out of my head really quickly, and then it'll make sense. I've done a whole training on mind maps, so those of you who know me know that they are, you know, something that I use as a tool in my business for so many things. So if you want a copy of this, then just drop a message, or I'll actually have a link for it. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll put a link for it in the group. So go to the group, A Book That Sells, and that's where you'll get the link for the copy to that mind map, because that will, I guess, jog your memory with what we're going to learn. But let's get into it now. So first of all, what is the purpose? What is the objective of your book title? And again, this is where a lot of people look at their heroes, and they look at books that are like #1 bestsellers in the world, and, you know, Harry Potter or Stephen King, or, you know, the really big names. I guess they're both fiction books, and I am more talking about non-fiction, but that's often where we take our inspiration from, people who already have a very well established name and following. And the thing is that that's not who we are. I'm going to assume it's not who we are. So those people, the really big names, the people like, I don't know, you know, people who are writing with huge followings already, it doesn't actually matter what they call their book, because their book is going to be found based on, you know, the fact that they already have that level of popularity. Whereas with someone like, hello Holly, oh wow, with someone like ourselves, it is actually all about finding a title that is going to be searchable. So that's my whole premise here, is writing a book that sells. You know, there's no point writing a book if it's not going to be found. You've got a beautiful message, you've got something important to share, well, then you seriously have to be able to get it out there. Now, we're very blessed that we live in the time where we can actually put our books up on Amazon, but if you don't know the tricks of the trade, if you don't know some of the marketing techniques that are going to help your book be found, then actually it's not going to end up being discovered by the people who need to hear it the most. So First of all, there are certain formulas for writing a book title, and I'm sure you'd be very familiar with a lot of these. The first one I'm going to talk about is the problem solution. So problem solution is, and now, okay, let me backtrack a bit. I am talking about non-fiction books, so most of what I am saying will apply to non-fiction books, not so much fiction. It's a bit of a different game when it comes to fiction books for obvious reasons. So we are talking about non-fiction books, and problem solution in pretty much any book that you are writing, even fiction, is going to be solving some kind of a problem. So let's say, for example, the problem might be that you're writing a book about how to run a successful business. So you need to get yourself into the head of your ideal reader, the person that you ideally would like to be, reading this book. So that's something you have to be really clear on. And then understand what is their problem. What is the reason that would have them reaching up onto the virtual Amazon shelves and picking your book? So the problem solution is something that you can actually outline in the title itself. So the things you need to understand for that, you need to understand who, why, or why not. So the who, first of all, is like, who is this book aimed at? Really important to get clear on that. I think probably one of the really common mistakes that people make is that they feel their book has to be for everyone, and they kind of feel that the more people this book is for, then the better, because it will actually, that will make it sell more. Now, this, interestingly enough, the opposite is actually true, which is the more you're able to niche down, the more you're able to identify the one person your book is for, the more that you're going to connect with your tribe, the more you're going to connect with your people, and the more they'll be attracted to your book. So first of all, you need to get really clear exactly who your book is for. And I don't mean kind of like some vague avatar, people between the age of 35 and 45, or women in general, or mothers. It has to be really, really specific. The more specific you can be, the more likely your book is going to be to sell. I actually encourage my clients, the authors that I work with, I encourage them to nail it down to even a single person. And it's not sort of being facetious. It makes it real when you do that. It makes it that person, you totally connect with them. Okay, so the first thing is the who. The second thing is why. Why would they be wanting this book? So, of course, this comes down to the problem. This is identifying what their problem is, why they need it, or what the actual problem is. Then you have to clarify what your solution is. Now, all this is you're doing in your head, but this is something you're going to be able to distill down into a title if you choose to use this particular formula, the problem solution formula. So there are other things that can come into the problem solution formula, which would be things like when, how much. So these are all, like how much or how would be definitely something you could bring into the title. So things like, actually, let me get I've got some really good examples here. So, here's a how one: how to win friends and influence people. I'm sure you have all heard of that book. So obviously with a title like that, you can see that they have, Dale Carnegie, the author, has identified who the actual audience is. He's also identified what the problem is, and all of this is coming out in the title. Then another example would be, a book by Ray Edwards, How to Write Copy That Sells. So right there, he's identified the problem, which is I can't write copy that sells, and the solution, how to write copy that sells. So, these are, definitely they're distilling down that problem straight away. Now, another one would be the very famous Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week. So this is like where you're using a number. Numbers often can be very appealing to people for lots of psychological reasons, which I'll touch on in a little bit. But these are all things that you can bring into your problem solution title. Okay, something just crashed downstairs. Oh, I know what it was. It was all good, all is well. I know my other cat I have locked outside because he is so naughty. And when I do things like this, when I'm here in the office with clients, with the door shut, not letting him in, he does things like climbs up into the pantry shelves and then knocks things down, and like, he's just so naughty. So I have locked him up in the cat run outside. Anyway, so it wasn't him. Anyway, so let's go into some really specific formulas. So this is all going to be, this part of the mind map. Let me show you where we're up to. We're in the light green section here. So the specific formulas that you can use for these, they're things like how to. Now, I just gave you that example, the Dale Carnegie, how to win friends and influence people. Very, very popular formula. Another really popular formula is things like the joy of, or the art of. These are things that, you know, it just really rolls off the tongue. And if you preface your title like that and then you roll straight into the problem or the solution, that can be a really good formula to use. Making a promise is definitely a good one. So an example of making a promise would be, oh, here we go. Here's one. Eat fat, get thin, which is, I think, about paleo diet. So obviously, you know, definitely making some promises there. Oh, okay. Another one. Let's see. Okay, using things like alliterations. So simple savings or cracking creativity. These are, you often see books that use alliteration. So alliteration meaning using the same sound at the beginning of the sentence. One of my favorite things that I do, and if you've ever read any of my books, you will see that they are very full of those. The short-long combination. Now this is what I mean by this, the short-long combination. Let me see if I can find a good example of this because I really like this. Oh yeah, here we go. Where is it? Short-long combo. Okay. So we're talking about the combination between the title and the subtitle. Now you would know as an author of non-fiction that the subtitle is like super, super important, and often you can have a kind of short title and then a really long explanatory subtitle. Sometimes you can get a little bit carried away with that, but I'll give you an example of a classic one. So the book called Ask by Ryan Levesque the book is called Ask. The subtitle is The Counterintuitive Online Formula to discover exactly what your customers want to buy, create a massive raving fans, and take any business to the next level. So that would be an example of short, long combo. So using numbers, definitely very powerful. So anything like the 5 secrets to 10 ways to, the 4-hour work week, all of those things. And numbers are very compelling. Groups of 3. So I just gave you that example, that Ryan Levesque example. The subtitle had kind of like 3 things in a group, and you'll see that is definitely a very common one. So in my book, and I'm going to give this as an example of how not to do it, but I'll tell you about the subtitle, which I think the subtitle went all right, and I have to read it because I can't even remember it. But originally, my first book, The Bodyworker's Success Blueprint, the Solar Massage Therapist's Guide to, I can't even read it. I should know it off by heart. See, that shows it's not a good title. Avoiding burnout. I'm reading it off the wall because I've got the picture up on the wall. Hang on, I'll show you. I'll flip this around so you can see how safe it is to do that. Oh, it's like over, where am I? It's over there. And that's what I'm looking at. to avoiding burnout, growing a recurring, getting recurring clients, and building a thriving business. So let me tell you what is wrong about that. I might as well just dive straight into it since I've started. First of all, and this is an example of how the author gets very attached to her title. So the Bodyworkers Success Blueprint. Now, for me, Bodyworkers is a very special word. It kind of meant a lot to me because of the particular mentor that I had, the woman that I trained under. It was a term that she used a lot. It's not actually very commonly known. It's a massage therapist, in case you didn't know. But if you were going onto Amazon, you wouldn't be necessarily searching for that term because it's not a common term. In fact, if you search online for the word bodywork, what you're going to find is two things. I discovered this later. You're going to find bodybuilders, because Amazon or even Google thinks surely you mean bodybuilders, not bodywork, or they think you're looking for someone who like is a panel beater for like autos, for cars. So that is a big mistake. I was very attached to that title though. It spoke to me. It spoke to me, the author, and the Bodyworkers Success Blueprint, I had that alliteration thing going on. However, I have since republished that book with a different title, same subtitle. The new title is The Massage Therapist's Manual. And that's because when someone goes on to Amazon and they're looking for a book on running a massage business, chances are that's the term they're going to be typing in. And that's actually one of the other steps that I'm going to go through, and that is how to use Amazon. I'm going to skip right to that now. How to use Amazon to spy on your ideal readers. So the way that you do this is, that was someone trying to ring me. The way that you do this is by using the Amazon search bar. It is an amazing tool. So first thing you do is you go incognito. Second thing you do is you start typing a keyword that you want to use in your title, and you do it really, really slowly, and you let Amazon finish the sentence for you. It's kind of got like an auto complete function, and it is fascinating what comes up. This will really give you the hint as to what you should call your book. And I did exactly this for naming my second book. So my second book was going to be called The Fountain of Youth. I thought that was kind of catchy. It was kind of cool. I had this whole thing in my mind about, it was going to be like this picture of this this sort of old kind of crone walking into a beautiful fountain, and then like on the other side she comes out like, looking like a 16-year-old or something. That was this, I don't know, I was doing all this research on these images. Okay, anyway, I thought, hang on a minute, before I get too carried away with what this cover's going to look like to reflect, the Fountain of Youth theme that I'm running with, let's go into the Amazon search bar and just see, how many people are checking out the term The Fountain of Youth. Well, guess what? The autocomplete didn't even complete that sentence. What that tells me is that's because nobody is looking it up. So Amazon auto-completes your sentence based on the popularity of that sentence or that group of words. So if, 100 or 1,000 or whatever number of people have typed in The Fountain of Youth, you type in the F-O-U-N-T and it will just, it'll like suggest, do you mean The Fountain of Youth? And of course, it didn't do that with The Fountain of Youth. Nobody's typing it in. Nobody's going to Amazon going, I want a book called The Fountain of Youth. So that's when I kind of got a little bit clever, and I thought, okay, I need to drop this Fountain of Youth. I need to drop this whole image of this old lady walking into a fountain and coming out, stop it, drop it. So I did. And I used the Amazon search bar to see, well, what are people looking at? Now, if you have read my book, you will know that it's just quietly, it's not actually about anti-aging. I'm using that because I know that's what people are interested in, what it's really about is empowering women and living healthy and listening to your body. I mean, that's what I'm really, really passionate about. That's what, like, pretty much all of my books have been about. But that's not a topic that a lot of people are either looking for, or it doesn't have it's not an easy thing, shall we say, to kind of put your, it's not an easy thing to put a title to. So then when I used that function, the secret Amazon search bar function, what I found was that 10 years younger is actually a term I barely had to write a few letters of before Amazon auto-completed it for me. So I thought, okay, that's a term that people are looking up on Amazon, strangely enough. That sounds like a good title for my book. It definitely fits in with the theme. Let's run with it. So that would probably be my number one little insight, an insider secret for getting a title that's going to sell. Not just a title that's going to speak to you, because at the end of the day, it's not about pleasing you as the author. It's about managing to get as many eyes as possible on your book. Okay, so let's go on. Now, I'm just going to show you where we're up to here. So we've done the formulas. We're up to the dark green one, and this is where I made another huge mistake. So we're up to there on this mind map. And for those who have joined late, the reason I'm like holding my laptop up to the live stream is because I totally chickened out, and I was going to do this on OBS and use my desktop, but there's like about 6 steps that you have to do. And like a few people might have seen, I even started this live stream like that. So I'm not practiced enough, but I will be. I promise you're going to be seeing a lot more of me during these live streams, and I'll get really good at it. So anyway, I couldn't share the mind map. I couldn't share it on the screen because I'm not that clever. But if you go into the group, A Book That Sells, I will have the link to the image and you can get a copy of it yourself. Okay. So what we're up to now is the ease of your title. Now, I call this the podcast test, or the barbecue test, but, you know, I like to see myself being a guest on a podcast, or, you know, like a TV show, or a radio interview or something like that. And, you know, as authors, we should be envisaging ourselves, you know, taking these roles. So, so the podcast test goes like this. Just imagine you're sitting there, you know, you might be feeling a little bit, oh, you know, I'm being interviewed by James Altucher. That's one of my heroes. I'm being interviewed by James Altucher, and here I am sitting across the desk from him, and he's firing these questions at me, and now he's asking me about my new book. And you've got to rattle that title off. Now, how easy is it for you to say the title, the whole thing, the title, and obviously the subtitle? How easy is it to spell? Like, have you got any obscure words in there that like can be misspelt? If you're anything like me, like I can't spell to save my life. So a lot of words, if I go and try and search them, I don't find them because I'm like, oh, I don't know, I spelt it wrong. Is it easy to understand? Now, that again comes down to either obscure words in there that are kind of really industry lingo, which might be okay if your audience is kind of up on that, but if you're shooting at too high a level and people don't understand what you're saying, you'll miss the point. The other thing is, when you're verbally saying it, let's do the podcast example again. If you're verbally saying it and people listening to that podcast, that radio interview, they only get to auditorily hear it. If it's a bit of an unusual word, or it's a word that you stumble over, or it's easy to misunderstand, they won't get it. So you need to make sure it's easy to say, easy to spell, easy to understand, especially when you can easily just roll it off your tongue and you know, completely without hesitation. Now, the example I gave when I was trying to remember the name of my other book, The Bodyworker's Success Blueprint, you can see how difficult that was for me to even remember my own book's name. Clearly, that failed the podcast test. I mean, how impressive would it be to be stumbling over it? I mean, I'd probably have prepared myself. Okay, I admit that. I probably would have prepared myself and at least, practiced it a couple of times. But the point is, you might be at a barbecue. I also call it the barbecue test. So you're at a barbecue and someone says, "Oh, what's your book called?" You've got to be able to rattle it off, and it comes out of your mouth very easily. Okay. So that was number 3, and we actually already did kind of number 5. So anyway, that was the Amazon thing. Number 4 is keywords. Now, keywords are a pretty cool, amazing thing that Amazon uses to help people find your book. And as an author, you get to pick 6 keywords. They're actually not words, they're phrases. I mean, they can be words, but you actually get to put like a phrase there, like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 words, a little group of words that would be the type of thing that people would be searching for while looking for a book of your type. So you get to put keywords in you get to put keywords in 4 places. 4 places. All right. So number 1, you get to put keywords in the title. Number 2, you get to put keywords in the subtitle. Number 3, you get to put keywords in the keyword place, which is like behind the scenes, like no one's actually going to see those, but Amazon will take those into account, and they will be they'll count towards people finding a book. And number 4, you get to put keywords in your description. Now, again, I'm not sure how much weight Amazon's algorithm gives all of those different areas, but I'm going to assume that title and subtitle are probably weighted the heaviest, and description probably weighted the lightest. But I don't know, I'm totally guessing there. So the thing with the thing with keywords is that they will help people find your book. Absolutely. So it is good to put useful keywords in the title or subtitle. And my example I gave you with my book is a perfect example of what not to do. So calling it the Bodyworker Success Blueprint did not help its keywords, because bodyworker, and I changed all the keywords in the back end as well, bodyworker is not a common keyword that's going to help people find it. Massage therapist, great keyword, fantastic keyword, my exact demographic who I'm aiming that book at, right? So it worked to put keywords in there, but there's also this other kind of funny thing that happens, which is where people will put a keyword in something, they call it keyword stuffing, where they just use a subtitle that's got so many keywords in it that it doesn't even really make sense. So don't do that. Okay, we're up to the last one, and the last one is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a bit controversial, and it's one of those things that it kills me. I used to do it. I don't do it anymore. I still see a lot of authors doing it, and this is why maybe it's a bit controversial. And this is the topic of feedback. Asking for feedback on your title and subtitle. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it for a couple of reasons. Well, okay, I recommend it with a lot of caveats, shall we say. So what I actually suggest is that if you ask for feedback, you've got to make sure you're asking for feedback from your target audience. Now, I already discussed earlier about the whole target audience thing being pretty much very specific person. You have to get super crystal clear on who your target audience is, right? And so once you have got that target audience, then you can ask them for feedback. But, and herein lies the problem. So what happens here is that when you're asking for feedback on your title, of the title of your book, people are going to just tell you what they like or what they don't like. They're not actually going to be sharing with you would they buy it or not. And at the end of the day, that's actually all you care. You don't really care if this person who's your perfect buyer, your perfect target audience, you don't really care if they like the title, because people don't buy, they don't make that purchase based on whether they like it or not. Believe it or not, there's all sorts of other psychological things that are going on in there. So that's why I think that asking for feedback can be fraught with frustration and can actually end up getting you more confused than not. So I think a lot of you here will know that, and you've probably experienced that, and you can say, here are my 3 titles, which one do you think's best? And you'll get, 30% of everyone liking the different one. So you end up with absolutely no idea. It's not very often that you'll get a consensus unless you've got like really bad choices. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's whether they're going to click the buy now button that's important, not whether they just like it. So I really recommend not asking for feedback or taking it with a huge grain of salt if you do. So what do you do then? I guess the point is that you need to really tune inward. So after you've taken all of these things I've talked about, the problem solution, using the formulas, doing the podcast test, doing the keywords, using the Amazon sort of insider secret, what you need to do is you need to tune inwards. You've got all that information. You've probably done a big brain dump and you've got lots of different ideas. That's when you really need to tune inwards, tune into the brain and the heart and soul of the person that you were really writing this book to. And with my first book, it was my younger self. That's exactly who I was writing that book to. I was writing that book to Kylie 15 years ago when I first started out as a massage therapist. These were the things I wish I had have known. So that was actually quite easy to tune into, that person. But what do they want to hear? What words would be the words that would, resonate with them and make them go, oh, I need to look at this book. With my second book, and I'm using myself in it as an example because I guess, I guess, yeah, well, I know the exactly what went on inside my head, and I've got a lot of clients. I don't necessarily want to use their books for examples, but I think if you are watching this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So the other thing is, okay, so with my second book, 10 Years Younger. Now, to be honest, and this is kind of weird, but I was fully writing this for. What was it called? Beverly Hills Housewives. The Housewives of Beverly Hills. You know that show. Anyway, I was writing it for that kind of person. Someone who would normally go and get Botox and, just spend a fortune on wanting to look younger, not realizing that the answer to all of that was inside them. They could get it from inside, not outside. But I knew I couldn't give it a title like that, feel younger by empowering yourself, because that woman wouldn't buy that book. Now, call it 10 Years Younger, she's going to buy it because that, it, and then when she buys it, she starts reading it. That's obviously when I get my opportunity to indoctrinate her with my, opinions on this and how I think she should be living her life. I mean, that is we are very arrogant as authors, right? We get to just like stand there and pontificate and tell the world, this is how I think you should do it. And all the way through my books, I do say, look, it's only my opinion, but I'm not scared about giving my opinion, and this is what it is. So that's what I mean by turning inward to finally distill what you want to call your book. Okay, so that's it. That is a brain dump. I have been going for, oh my goodness, however long it is, but it looks like it's been a while. Oh yeah, about 45 minutes because I started a bit late. But any question about titles that you have, or if you want, I'm not going to say feedback on your title because I've just said don't ask for feedback on your title. But what I would suggest is take these six ideas, these 6 points that I've given you, and kind of internalize them, sit with them for a while, and see what comes up with you. And do that final step is the most important, which is sort of a bit of an internal meditation, a bit of an internal kind of, tuning into your ideal target audience or target reader, I guess. Now, okay, this is something I can't wait to tell you about. So I have got this, I had this idea the other day, and again, it has come from feedback from clients, authors that I coach, and other people, groups that I'm in, and so on. So this is one of the big things about writing a book is kind of keeping on target with it, like the daily grind. It's very easy to lose your momentum. You get the momentum in the beginning, and then, you know, it definitely does back off at a certain point. Now, the way that I teach how to write a book, you can write your first draft in 30 days if you follow the steps that I recommend. So what I am going to be offering for you is a 30-day author bootcamp. And this is basically going to be 30 days of daily accountability, prompts. It's going to have weekly trainings, and it's going to take you from that, right from the beginning, right through to the end of your first draft. I am talking nonfiction because that is the genre I'm more familiar with, but there's no reason why you couldn't use it for fiction as well. So if that sounds, I don't know, if that sounds kind of interesting to you, if that sounds interesting to you, why isn't that working? Oh, so annoying how it does this. Then I'm offering you to come and join the 30-day author bootcamp, where you will be able to really get your writer juices flowing. So if you like the way that I roll, if you like the sort of the things that I teach about, and you know, the inspiration, motivation, I guess, you know, the what can we say, the kind of ass-kicking accountability that I hold you to, then that is exactly what I am going to be offering. And it's just Facebook's not playing nice with me. Go back. Did I share it on my timeline? That's so random. Oh well, never mind. Yeah, it looks like I did. Huh. Yes. Okay, so I've just dropped a link in there now, and it's basically just a link straight to PayPal. Should work. No, it doesn't want to work. Oh yeah, it should, yeah. And if you want to join, it is only going to be $69. So $69 for 30 days of accountability. So if you are sort of been sitting on the fence about, I can't believe I did that. Oh, I see what happens because it's Kylie Ansett. I'm new to Facebook Live, people. I'm going to get a lot less new to it soon. But so the link is there, and I'll give you some more information as the days go on. It's going to start on the 20th of October, and it's going to go through to the 20th of November. Now, interestingly enough, for those in the know, that is NaNoWriMo, however you say that, begins in November. So that was just a coincidence. This is the time where I think it has to happen, because there's actually a lot of things that happen after the first draft, but getting that first draft out, it is an amazing feeling. You won't believe it when you do it. So 30 days to get your first draft written. If that sounds like something that you would like the kind of support, so there will be some group coaching, there will be weekly trainings, and there will be daily accountability. If that sounds like something that is just gonna make you finally get that book out of your head and into the world, then you need to go click on that button and go and secure yourself a spot. I would love to see you there. I would love to work with you. This is like just a really, like, it's a no-brainer price item that is going to help you to, I guess, realize that dream and take those first steps, which I think is for a lot of us. I know for me, those first steps were the ones that I sat on for decades. And once I took that first step, I was like, why didn't I do this before? It's so easy. It is so easy. but it's also so hard, and you know, it's the blocks all in the mind, and that's what I'm going to be working with you, getting through that, holding you accountable and giving you a boot camp environment so that you actually kind of, I don't know, what can we say, you kind of have to go, you have to do it. It's always down to you, but I think having that level of accountability really does make a difference. So if that sounds kind of cool to you, then I would love to see you there. As I said, it is, the link is there. I'm going to pin it to the top of this post. Edit, no, I can't. Oh, I don't know, I'll do it later. Oh, don't worry. I'll pin it to the top so that you can access it, and also I'll also create like a sales page around it. But basically this is going to be an accountability opportunity, very low price of just $69, which is going to get you from the 20th of October to the 20th of November to get that book out of your head and into the world. Because as you know, you've got something worth saying. You need to be able to get it out there. You need to be able to say it. The world needs your story. So right now. Okay, it has been great to be here with you, and I look forward to seeing more of you, and thanks for those who joined. You will be seeing more of me doing this. Go and jump in the group, A Book That Sells. That is my free Facebook group where we talk all things writerly and authorly and self-publishingly. And I really look forward to connecting with you there, and also seeing you in the 30-day author bootcamp. All right, so don't forget, the world needs your story right now. Bye.